Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is June the 1st, the year of our Lord 2023. The world is a wacky place, and we are here to talk about it. My name's Mark. This is my co host, Stan.
What up, everyone?
All right, so first thing today, Sony reinvents the Wii U.
The Wii U.
I mean, that's essentially what it is, right? I mean,
Oh, the Switch.
no, no. So that's the thing. It's purely a streaming device. It is so that you can connect to your PlayStation 5 and play around your house. It's not a console.
Was that the Wii U? Streaming
Yeah.
device?
I mean, the
I
Wii
mean,
U
I
is
had
technically its
a
own
console.
console, but it barely. Like, most people used it to play their Wii.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I had a Wii U. I used it for Zelda
Mm
and Mario Kart.
hmm. Mm hmm.
So that was about it. So I can't really say that it was a streaming. I mean, if that's what the thing was, I didn't really play it because, I think around the time I had my Wii U, I had a PC. So there was that. But that does look cool, though. I am interested in. I want to get it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to cost as much as the PS5, and it's probably going to go through the same problems that the PS5 did when it released, which is horrible, 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 horrible. Because everyone's gonna buy it out. They're gonna have scalpers.
That is the problem. And they are. So I don't know if they've actually given pricing yet.
I think they said 400.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That they said 400, which is first off ridiculous to not be a full console. For $100 more, you can get a Steam Deck, and it's an entire computer in your hand that can play a boatload of
Everything,
games.
everything,
Yeah, I mean, practically.
everything that's not available on Steam can be available on the Steam Deck. I don't know, man. I guess it's for the fanboys. The fanboys. Like if I had, I'm being honest with you. If I had the funds, the free funds to get it, I would be getting it. But I
That
don't,
was
and I'm not.
that was going to be my next question: is would you buy this?
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
because I've had this conversation with my son. I think the Vita was before its time. It was the Switch before the Switch, and because it was too soon, they didn't have enough games to explore the function that was the Vita. The Vita
Mm-hmm.
was ultimately, I think, the before the Switch, the best handheld console. It just lacked support from developers, and this is basically that what it was because the Vita could stream every game that was on the PS4 and the PS3 straight to the console. It was like that was the selling point of the Vita. It was basically like, oh man, I got to get up to go use the bathroom,
Yeah.
and okay, cool, you can transport the game from the system to the Vita and then get up and then go to the bathroom. Or it's like, okay, cool, I don't want to play on a TV for some unholy reason. I'm gonna play in my bed. Okay, I can put it on the Vita and continue playing on the Vita while being mobile around the house. Or I mean, I don't know if the Vita came. I think the Vita had AT&T at one point, so I don't know if you could take it out of the house and continue to play the game like that. Because I didn't have the AT&T version. I know it came. A few of them came. I think it was like an extra $100, and it came with a phone, a SIM card in it, so you can take it places. But if that's what this can do, like if this is like a point to where I like, because I have a PS5, I don't play my PS5. My kids play my PS5. So if this thing can do that, then it just gives me a new reason to do it. Because a big reason I don't play my PS5 is because it's next to my PC, and you see the problem with that is it's next
Mm-hmm.
to a superior device that can do everything it can and more. And it's like, okay, cool. There'll be time to go to bed. I'm not tired. I'll just turn on the Project Q and play God of War or something like that.
Yeah. But I was
See, that's what.
assuming that you totally would buy this, being
Yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah.
yesterday you were talking about downloading Dauntless on the Switch just so that you can play in bed.
Well, that's because I'm getting addicted to Dauntless, and if there's like cross save, which I think Dauntless does have cross save, so where it's like I don't have to make an entirely new account on my Switch, then yeah, I'm 100% down with
I mean, makes
playing it
sense.
on my Switch. It should be, it
I
should
mean,
be.
so this has essentially the same selling point as the original Vita, which is if you need to poop, you can still be playing. You got a bucket? If you got a bucket, then you're playing Battlefield. If you don't have a bucket, then you're not playing Battlefield.
Right?
I mean,
You're not playing
essentially.
Battlefield. I mean, it's I feel it. Like I think this is I don't like the look of it. If this is what it's going to look like, I think it's dumb. They should have just modernized the way the Vita looked because this is unappealing. It looks like I'm gonna be real with you. Give me one sec. I know you probably seen it, but this is a freaking PS5 controller.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is huge. And
Mm-hmm.
the appealing part of Sony's controllers, where they were compact and they fit in your hand. Well, this fits in my hand too, but it's bulky. It might as well just be an Xbox controller.
It's way
Eh,
bigger than what they used to be back in the day. Like
Yes,
they were like this big. Like you could just they fit your three
they were.
fingers. Your pinkies couldn't even grip it.
Yeah, and then the fact that I mean, I guess because it has the controller's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, it feels perfect as far as the movement and the latency and the reaction of the input, you know. But it's just like, do we need this big ass touchpad in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a huge touchpad right in it. Like, does it need to be that big? Because the PS4 controllers had touchpads in them too, but they weren't that big. But as time goes on, I guess they'll probably update, a pro version. I mean, I think I could, or a slim version of them, which will make them a lot better. Hopefully one day.
I definitely agree that the PS Vita was ahead of its time. I mean, now proves that more than ever. With everyone putting out handheld computers, handheld gaming devices. I mean, it was always a thing, the Game Boy, the Frogger. Shoot, I was looking up the other day. There's this bat game I had when I was a kid. It was this crappy plastic bat with an not even 8-bit screen on it, and it had a little ball that came towards you, and you'd swing it and see if you hit. And it
Word.
lasted 25 minutes until the batteries died.
Yeah, see, the biggest problem is like Sony's trying to compete with Nintendo, and that's a market that Sony and Xbox need to understand that they'll never be able to compete with. It's a household name. They have cornered the market on it. And there was once upon a time where Sony had them with the PSP. Sony had it. Every game that was released on the PS3 had a PSP version of it released as well. And then they brought back PS2 classics, which was perfect, and and they had movies on it, which set it apart from everything the PSP. And then they were doing good. They had an opportunity to compete with the handheld king, which is Nintendo. But when they released the Vita, at that point, Netflix and stuff, YouTube, everything was becoming a thing. I think the Vita had YouTube on it, and of course, at the time the Vita was a thing. I think it was the 3DS that
Mm.
was Nintendo's handheld console. Didn't have that, or it did, and had like a light YouTube light version. There was a point where everything was like an app light version of it, which due to technology constraints, they had to. But all they would have to do is not make whatever this device look like that. Just redo the Vita. Just redo the Vita. Completely, like, do away with the idea of. I mean, I guess they could copy the cartridge idea because PS Vita was doing cartridges before the Switch was. Like they had the same exact design of the cartridge, same area. They could still do that. I wouldn't suggest it at this
Yeah,
point
but
of everyone having Wi-Fi.
aren't we past that point? Like, aren't we past the cartridge period?
We are, but not really. like we're in the stage. It's like the stage of when cars still there were still horses on the road, but they majority of people have cars. Everyone downloads it, but it's just there's still a few people who would rather have the physical copy of the game. It makes, because
I
the
mean,
hidden i the hidden idea that it's like, oh man, if I lose internet, I mean that don't really happen on a Nintendo, but and a lot of other things like PlayStation, if you don't have internet, you can't play those games. And that's a
true,
big
but
problem.
nowadays it's the exact same way anyways. Like if you go and buy a disc, you're not buying a copy of the game. You're buying a file that then tells your PlayStation to download the game. Like there's no more games on discs,
I mean, you're not
or
wrong.
at
You're not
least
wrong,
for
homie.
the
I feel you.
vast majority of them.
I feel that, but that's not the case with Nintendo. Like when it came, I mean, Nintendo,
Yes.
if you never connect your Switch to the internet and you go and you buy a physical copy of whatever game, you can play that game. Period. But that doesn't work on like PlayStation or Xbox. Like every time you get a new game for the PlayStation and you plug it in, it automatically is gonna you can't play this. You have to connect to the internet. But however, if I went and took my Switch and go buy the new Zelda game or another Pokemon game comes out and I get it and I never connected to the internet, I can still play that game 100% all the way from start to finish without ever touching the internet. But that doesn't happen, and I think that's going to be a big issue when it comes to this thing, which is why a lot of people still like the physical copies. It's like sometimes the day one patches they nerf out a lot of things that they figured out in between the launch and the day, not the pre-launch and whatever. They like, oh yeah, we found a ton of bugs or a ton of exploits that we just gonna iron out real quick. I guess the disc or cartridge, whatever, bypasses that and allows you to have fun with the naked, raw game, unedited version of the game,
I mean,
unpatched.
then that takes us back to no game is finished now. Every game has a day one patch because they don't push finished games. They push half finished games.
Oh, my, yeah, you're right. With the day one patch thing is a little annoying because I have mixed feelings about it. I don't mind the day one patch, even though it's the very much controversial when it comes to video games of the day one patch. I don't mind it because it's like the tester theory that we come up with. The testers don't exist anymore. And it's just like them finding last minute bugs and then ironing them out before. And that's the only reason why I approve of the day one patch. Is like,
I
okay,
mean,
last minute we found an exploit at the end of the game or at a certain point in the game, or this, if you do this accidentally, then it crashes something or something else happens to, that locks you out. And they found it last minute. I don't condone last minute stuff when it comes to pushing out, $70 damn games that I paid for last minute. You wait last minute to fix this issue. That if you had a significant team of testers and not like, oh man, hey streamer, we want you to play our game early and then make a video of it. Nah, that don't not really testers, like a dedicated
no.
team of people whose sole purpose in life is to test your video game or they cannot get paid.
And
You know what I'm saying?
so here's my thing. It's absolutely fine to, you know, fix bugs day one. By all means, please, for the sake of all that is holy, fix the bugs. But when I bought a game, say I pre-ordered a game, which I almost never do. Say I pre-ordered a game, I downloaded that game the day early or whenever they made it available. Then that was like say 40 gigs. And then the day one arrives and I get a 120 gig download. What did I download?
Everything.
Like Call of Duty is infamous for it. Like
It
you
is.
download a whole new game. Like they didn't even give you the actual game when it came out. They gave you like 10 files that were just text files of like 5 billion characters and then they gave you the actual game when it drops. Like it makes no sense. That kind of BS
It was a
And
preload.
you dropped a 100 gig day one patch, and then I still can't run through water without my character just stopping moving and sinking into the ground for no reason.
It was a preload. You know, the a lot of people don't. It doesn't happen anymore. But when you used to download old games, it would bring up the install menu, and you'd
Mm-hmm.
have to go through. That's what that is, and that's what you said. That's all that is. It's just like you said before. The disk is that,
Yep.
and you plug it into your system is you telling your console to automatically start the install process via the internet. That's all that is with the
Yeah.
disk. And yeah, Call of Duty is very infamous for doing that, but
And
they mm,
I mean, it's a major problem, honestly. Like, most people don't think about it because most people live in areas with good internet. But like when I worked in telecoms, there are vast parts of this country that still don't have basic internet. DSL is still rampant. We had dial up services. Dial up. Still. That's active. And those
let me
people are the people that still buy discs
let
because
me
they
tell you
want to
something
play
crazy
the game.
about so you know where my parents live.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So tell me why my dad had installed a fiber line from the house to the pole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from the house to the actual pole, the where everything connects, is fiber. Their internet should be flawless. But
Should be.
when ISP was installing upgrading everything as far as the routes and the cables along the way, they skipped over their house because there's only like 4 people that live in that area. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
even bother going back there. But
Yep.
right, oh, like literally right, like on the other side of those 4 houses that are back there, they started continuing. And it's just like, why not take the time out? Well, it's not worth it. Well, people live here. And it's like, and I told dad, I was like, Dad, I was like, if they installed this, if they just connected the fiber to the main line, you would have the fastest internet on the wall in the area because you have fiber running from the house to the pole. They just need to connect the fiber to another fiber line and you'll be good to go. And it's just, I don't understand why they do that. I understand it is, as time goes on, it's going to be a more important requirement. But then it's just like if you live out in the boonies, they'll just forget about you.
But I mean, your parents don't really live out in the boonies. They live 2 miles outside of town. Granted, it's that town, but how long? Well, I mean, it's not like here. But how long until, there's neighborhoods all the way down that
I don't
street?
think it will. Remember, you got to remember
It is
on
dead.
side of it's not even about the dead thing. I mean, that area of, but it's my like literally in front of the road is a farm. Behind the tree line is a farm.
Mm-hmm.
On all sides of my parents' house are farmlands. There are never going to be any more houses over there, like at all. So, I mean, the whole problem, like this, back to the Sony Project Q. The big problem it's gonna have, it's gonna force so many people to have good quality internet to play because everything is going live service, and it's gonna force everyone who owns it to have good internet. And everyone has internet, I guess, but
Most people.
if it's just a streaming device and I can't, oh man, I can't, it doesn't have any standalone this device games, then it's gonna fail. It's gonna fail miserably. Like, or even
But that's the thing. It's not a. See, okay, so I would totally get it if they were like, here's the new PSP. They could even bring it back with the same name. Just revive it, bring it back. This is the new PSP. I actually kind of like the look of it. It's got your standard controller look. It's got a giant screen on it. Like if it looks ergonomic, like that's the best part of the PlayStation controllers, is how ergonomic they are. Whereas like Xbox controllers are all bulky. At least that's the way they feel. But it's not it's not a console. It's not a gaming system. It's a screen to connect to your PlayStation 5 from your bedroom instead of the living room.
Word. I mean, and that's what the Vita was. I mean, look up a picture of what the Vita looked like. And I'm
Oh,
not
I
saying you don't
remember.
know exactly.
Oh,
That thing look.
bruh.
It feels like a handheld device. I mean, I know you probably have a Switch, but look at this. This is basically what the Vita focus camera. This is basically what it looked like.
Yeah.
Basically, with the PlayStation
Except
esque
way
feel,
smaller because that
way
Vita was
smaller.
only this. I mean,
I
it had
mean, it
like what,
was
a 3.5-inch screen.
yeah. I mean, but the whole point of the Switch is the ends come off, and if you take the ends off, and it's a much smaller on each side, and then of course they have the newer Switch, which is bigger, and it has an OLED screen, which probably is super awesome. But they just need to bring back that design. It needs to be a handheld device. Like, I guess for the idea of me when it comes to this device, it just needs to feel like a handheld device. I don't really, if I wanted to hold a damn controller, I have a controller. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
this is personal at this point, but it's like if it was the only way for them to truly compete in the era of the Switch, this device has to have its own dedicated teams of people who can make whatever games play that come out for the PlayStation play on this device as well. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the Switch reigns supreme. The Every game that it's a hybrid system, a hybrid handheld console. So it's like, okay, cool. I don't want to play and put it in my hand. I could just dock it. Boom. I can play on my TV.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I normally play my Switch. Most of
Which
the
was the
time,
most brilliant thing Nintendo did with the Switch.
they
Like,
won.
especially for when it came out 6 years ago. It's 6 years old now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so. They won when the Switch came out. They were already ahead, but then it was just like they set the bar to a level no other handheld device will ever be able to get to until you copy it. And then on top of that, you have to have a dedicated, not just copying it, but you have to have the dedicated games that will only be allowed to be played on that device. Like, would it be cool if this device can play the new God of War? Yes, but it has to have a game that forces like, oh, that game looks so good. I have to buy that console in order to play that game. That's the only way this thing, in my opinion, will win. Like this is as cool as this is. This seems like an attempt at a quick, how many people really going to buy this outside of how many, like, look, I know the numbers say that the PS5 was doing good sell wise, but like, come on, like somewhere along the line, there was some fluff there that just didn't make sense. And it won't ever make sense to me. It's like, ain't no way, because everywhere you went, it was sold out. Maybe because of the scalpers buying them and then reselling them, but no one real in real life had until recently had like a real PS5, unless you went to Facebook Marketplace and you've seen the 50 million people trying to resell it for 100 to 200. Some people double the price, and it's just like, no, I don't think this is going to do very well unless it has games that are specifically tailored for this device. But as it says, it's a streaming device, so it's
Yeah.
mm, might
Like,
not.
it's literally, if your wife wants to use the living room, but that's where your PlayStation is, and so you got to go to a different room, you can pick this up and walk to the other room. Like, the only way I see this thing actually getting traction and making sales, and I could be completely wrong. I mean, there's the whole category of convenience. People will pay for convenience, but at $400, $400, like, you can buy a whole computer for that. Not a great computer, but a computer that can play games from 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. I
Like, that
mean,
price point is insane. If this came out and it was like $200, probably
it
it
would
would
never
probably
be
get
that.
some decent. But even then, like,
I mean, the Switch is 300 itself. But
yeah,
the Switch for 300, it seems reasonable because everything that the Switch can do is it's in its own lane. For
it is.
$300, yes, gimme.
Well, it used to be in its own lane.
It still is.
Nowadays, I mean, nowadays with the Stream Deck, the Asus, whatever their handheld is called, I can't remember it, but there's like 4 or 5 different handheld gaming consoles that just run Windows. You can play anything that your PC can play. You
I
just
feel
pull up
that,
your
but
Steam account and play it.
this is my argument why I say the Switch is still in its own lane. It has games no one else can play,
Legally,
and
yes.
that's like, yeah, legally, but we're talking, legally there is. I mean, if I'm pretty sure there's always someone who's smart enough, day one of the device, they're gonna jailbreak everything to be able to play anything. But legally, like for people who the average consumer who don't do jailbreak, illegal jailbreaking of devices,
Well, it's not
they
even
don't.
jailbreaking. It's literally just running Windows. So you just
I
install
mean,
the emulator.
I get that, but it's jailbreak. The term is like jailbreaking, but like on the
Hmm.
Switch, you can't get Zelda legally anywhere else. Can't get Zelda legally anywhere else. You can't get I mean, you can. Oh no, you can't get Pokemon legally anywhere else. You can't get Mario anywhere else. And those three names are huge, 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 huge names. Outside of having, the natural emulators that you can buy that has the old school games, but you can't play the new Pokemon on Steam. You can't play the new Mario on Steam. You can't play the new Zelda on Steam. You have to get a Switch, and that's my point. That's why you have to get a Switch. Otherwise, you might as well. I mean, I'm not against this thing you pulled up, the Windows 11 device, the Asus
ROG
Windows.
Ally is what it's
Yeah,
called.
the Ally. I'm not against that. I'm just saying the Switch has games you have to get the Switch to play,
Yes.
and that's what sets it apart. And that's what I'm
Unless
saying
you're,
with.
like us. And you,
Yeah, but there's very few people who are like us, and we're like what, the 10%, maybe the 1% of the population who are computer inclined. Maybe it's like everyone else, even people who use computers on a daily don't go as far as to do emulation stuff when it comes to games and everything else. But however, the regular consumer is not going to think, man, I could buy this device and get it, and get Zelda on it, which you could. Probably, I'm 100% sure you
you're
can.
right that the Nintendo class, which is what we're talking about. I mean, it's that is Nintendo's base. Your, run of the mill housewife just buying a device for the kids that's cheaper than the rest of them. So it's just like, here, play with this because it was cheaper than the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And children who, don't know how to. But I mean, almost any PC gamer, like I would say probably 90% of PC gamers have at some point emulated a game. Like particularly like I've emulated hundreds of PS1 and PS2 games that
Yes.
are just now, open market because no one owns them anymore because they're 30 years old at this point.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's all, at the end of the day, if people want it, they're gonna get it. I do want it, but however, the way my funds are set up,
Right?
it's not gonna get bought until somebody, I see somebody, like me, like when I had my Vita, I sold it for, it was a $300 console. I sold it for $200 because, and it sold quick because I was like, dude, I bought this. There was no games that released on the Vita that
Mm-hmm.
interest me at all. I was like, I still have the box for it. I still have the cables for it, and I'm one of those. I was like, I still have the plastic on it and everything. I was like, and he bought it for his son. He was like, yeah, dude. And I was like, I pulled it out of the original box. And he was like, dude, I ain't even gotta see no more. You still have the original box. And he handed me $200 cash, and that's the only way I probably get this thing, is if someone get it and then they bored with it and then they want to resell it, and then I just have, their resale price, because it's like, okay, it's used and I don't want to give it to GameStop because what they're gonna do.
Yeah. Give you
GameStop
35 cents and a piece of gum.
and a gum half
Or
chewed
you can get half the price of a video game in store credit.
and store credit, and instead of getting the half chewed up gum, move your whole stick.
Whole stick of gum.
We give you a whole stick of gum.
It's
That's
crazy how GameStop murdered themselves. Like
it,
they They went so hard into murdering themselves.
Well, I mean, it it was definitely consumers' fault, like, because it was
Nah,
like
nah, it's
I
100%. They drove away the consumer. They did
they did
everything in
because
their
I'm gonna tell
power
you
to
this
stop you
now.
from wanting to go there.
I'm telling you this now. There was a hustle back in high school, and I'm probably a big reason. I would go to one GameStop, find games that are like dirt cheap, and then take it to another GameStop and then get my money back. I'm not even kidding you.
Yeah.
Just to have a little bit of cash. Like, bro, before we started hanging out, like I wish I still did it then. And I was like around, and then it was right around the time when we were in high school where they started changing up the policies to where you would get nothing for video games. But it was
Mhm.
like I used to be like, okay, this game here, same game, 100% same game, would be like 20 bucks, 15 bucks at one GameStop. Get it from one GameStop, buy it online, have it shipped to the house. Okay, cool. Take the game, you know how they put the little GameStop thing, pre-owned and everything like that?
Mhm.
Take alcohol wipes, clean the thing off, clean the disc, get everything clean, and then take it to another GameStop, and then be like, "Yo, I'm trying to turn in this game." Play it, beat it, and take it and return it,
Mhm.
and that's what it was. People were just doing that 100%. It was, and they was
Back when
like,
you
"Dude,
can
we're
take a
losing."
weekend to beat a game.
Yeah, like people were ripping them off, so they had to change the policy to where it depended on the popularity of the game and the time and everything. What doesn't make sense is when they started doing that crap with consoles. Was like you buy a $300, $400 console, and they're trying to give you 100 to 150 bucks at most, 200 bucks for a console that you didn't touch.
Yep.
And yes, it'd be the ones, and a lot of it be like they'd be getting mad. It'd be like, "Oh, why does this Xbox smell like cigarette smoke and roaches?" And you trying to get full price for this because
Right?
it's. But then there's those people who are like, the slumlords and scumbags, and trying to get over. But then the few like me who took care of their stuff, who still to this day take care of their consoles, they would get screwed out of it because it's like, dude, I just genuinely don't play it because I have better things like my PS5. I mean, I probably never get. My son loves my PS5, but man, if GameStop was the way it was, I would tuck this mom back. Like, give me my wife's money back, bro.
I mean, I remember, I bought my PS4 and it was the first time I had a console within like the first year of it being released. Like I got the PS2 the day the PS3 dropped because they dropped it massively in price and I snatched it up. And I
Mhm.
owned I owned it for I think I had it like 2, maybe 3 months, maybe 3 months. Like I bought Destiny, I beat Destiny, I played some Warframe, done. And then I started college and I had to pay for my college. So I went and sold my PS4. And this man looked me dead in my eyes and said, "We'll give you 99.99 for it."
That's
I almost just walked out. Like I should have.
you should have. I would have. Like, you should have just put it on Facebook.
It didn't exist then. I mean,
It
Facebook
did.
did, but the
Well,
marketplace didn't.
Craigslist did. Craig, remember before Craigslist got murdered?
Yeah.
It used to be an area where, I mean, it's you can
But I
still
mean,
use
still back then,
Craigslist, but
Craigslist was mostly scams. Like it wasn't as easy as it is now to sell things. And it wasn't like, I had time. Like my school payment was coming up. It was due on Monday. It was Saturday.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like as we said this before, GameStop should just shift to a local land center that just
Yes.
sells merch. That's what it should shift to. It should shift to widening their buildings, hosting card games. I mean, I would go as far like I didn't know this still existed until I deep dive on the internet. But people remember Beyblades?
Mm-hmm.
People hold
Yeah.
Beyblade tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a science to people. And I was like, I mean, just diehard fans of everything, but I didn't know that. And when finding that it blew my mind that people are Beyblade like they're into it like that, and that's super cool. Like no hate. That's just like, but yeah, just hosting that, but like, yo, man, try to figure out in the local area because there are a lot of people like me when it comes to like AutoZone on the AutoZone app. I go and then favorite. Well, I don't favorite. I have it tethered to the closest AutoZone that I normally go to, and it's of course people only going to go to like the closest GameStop, boom, or their favorite GameStop. It's like, yeah, I want only want to shop there because you could do that on the GameStop app. Which they'd be like, which store you go to the most, and then send a poll in their inbox. I don't know how many people would check this, but like, yo, if we'd be interested in trying to throw a Yu-Gi-Oh, or I mean, I would go Magic. Magic is way bigger than Yu-Gi-Oh, even though Yu-Gi-Oh is still kind of thing, a card thing. It's like, would you be interested in setting up a local land thing? We'll be like, you'll come, you have to bring your own food or drink. We won't supply that, anything like that. And they'll set up the same rules. It'll be local, so it'll be people you'll find in your general area who's probably going to other card places to do that as well, and hold a prize, $100 an in-store GameStop credit or something like that. I would do that if I was into card games. $100 an in-store of free money. Like, at worst case scenario, I lose, but I got to have fun with a bunch of people who like to do the same thing that I like to do.
Yeah.
Or, you
Yeah,
know,
having a land center, a place to host games. Places you
yeah,
like the whole what it has been where it sells consoles and games needs to be a back corner and you can go there and buy stuff. But then they should have like a lounge, selling snacks, drinks, just like that place that opened up in Vietnam back in the day that we tried to
yes,
get jobs at. They
we
need to
tried.
pivot to being that, except cater to everything. D&D, Magic, all of it. Go out
They
and be
need
like, hey,
larger
come
spaces.
host your tournaments here.
They need larger spaces. They need exactly what that area was. They need an area of like 8 computers. 8 computers, no more than 8 computers is needed, if in my opinion. Maybe more, because a lot of people during the shift of COVID switched to PC because they realize I'm not having that much fun on my console. And PC can do I mean, them
Well, PC
stimmies
has
helping
the
people get it.
biggest game library in existence because you
There's
can
that, and them
literally
stimmies
play anything. Now you can
literally
play
play
any
anything.
Xbox game, practically.
Bro, every Xbox game. There's not, bro. The Xbox Pass. We'll get into that
Yeah.
a little bit later. But it's just like, that's what GameStop needs to do in order I don't know if anyone at them is saying that. It's like, dude, it's like, would it be hard? I mean, they would have to worry about theft and destruction a little bit more, but then you hire security. You hire decent security, one-way exits, the back door, only employees can get through it, and you have to have like I don't know how much it costs to get one of those the key tags in the door system that you have to beep. Employees have to beep in order for the door to open to go through.
Mm-hmm.
The back
It's
room is that.
it's cheap.
Like I said, I don't know if it's cheap. It should be cheap, but higher security, 2 people, maybe one person at the door. He go in, welcome, like, copy the format that marijuana shops have on the West Coast, or the Midwest. They have a security guard. They check you in, ID, blah blah blah. What are you here for? Boom, and then once you get past the security guard, you go walk in, and front desk. Hey, I'm here for the lounge area. Cool, we're going to take down your information. You got to sign a waiver, and then you have to have a credit card on file, because that makes sense to me. That makes 100% sense to me, to have a credit card on file. You sign up for the thing, and boom, we'll give you pay for an hour system, or premium. This, I hate putting these things out in the ether, but it's a great idea. The premium monthly payment plan allows you to come in whenever. As long as you check in, you could go back there and sit back there as long as you want. But if you just got a regular
That
membership, yeah,
is
you
the
got to
way to do
pay.
it.
Yeah, that's like, that's the way to make money. And then boom, and it's like, okay, cool. We'll have a set number of the used game disc, right? The used game, you have a set number of used game discs. Like, you have to set aside of every new game that comes out. So you have maybe 8 to 10 stations that have every console that is plugged up there. I would say maybe an Xbox. You don't even have to do that. Maybe you have 4 or 5 systems that are PlayStation, 4 or 5 systems that are Xbox, and maybe two that are Nintendo Wii's. And they're not that are Switch consoles, Switch things. 10,
I
10
mean,
stations, 10 consoles.
why not? Like, okay. Why not host the old consoles too? Like they should almost be a pawn shop for gaming. Like you can come
Well,
in and play the original PlayStation with the
well,
library of
and that
150
idea,
PlayStation games or
well,
the
and that
original
idea,
Nintendo.
with that idea, you got to think back. All the old PlayStation games can be played on computers.
Yeah,
Be-
but once again, most people won't. Most people don't.
I I feel that,
It
but
is
however,
even with the
if
best emulator possible, it is so janky.
you are very correct. I'm not like, I'm not against. I mean, that's all good, but it's like they have 20 stations. Half of them are PCs. The other half are split up between consoles, and then that allows people to play um brand new games, or even if they're not brand new. Let's say the games came out a month ago, and then they put those on the things that you have to wait a month, or they have very few stations that allow them to play the new games. Gives you a test to play the new games. And then, of course, there's always the risk of downloading your actual profile onto that console and then playing it. And then, you got to risk everyone and their mother who gets on that console after you getting on your account. But don't even allow people to do that. Tempt things. You want to play it cool. Boom, test it out. I it would work. And then in the back, just like we said, regardless of whether they have food there or not, because people, I'm on the fence about the food because people are pieces of garbage,
Yeah.
and some people just be like, oh, it's the employee's job to clean up behind myself, and it'll leave empty cups or crumbs everywhere, or bring in outside food. I mean, they could always have the security guard be like, no outside food, that's too easy. But it's just like, oh yeah, you can buy snacks, and then you buy your snacks, and then people got Dorito chips, and all over the keyboard and the mouse, because there are those mouth breathers that don't know how to wipe their hands before they touch things, and they don't care because they do it at home. But it's just like that's the worry when I have when it comes to in this general area of having a lounge for gamers to meet. They're the ones who just don't care. And unfortunately, nine if you have 10 people walk in, I would say four of those people are not going to care about. It's the employee's job to clean up after me. Even though, yeah, it is the employee's job to clean up, but it's like, why leave your garbage there? And there are going to be people who'd be like people in the movie theater who are just scummy and be like, I'll just leave this here instead of just the trash is on the way out. So you got to
Yeah.
expect those bums to mess it up for the thing, because the employer gonna be like, "Look what this guy did. He spilled his soda all over the thing and just left." It was like, "Are you serious?" Like, yes, and your employee, and honestly, yes, if you work there, it's in your employee description. You have to clean up after these people, and then you got to give it to the people who are gonna spill on consoles, who are gonna spill on the computers and destroy things. Well, I don't feel like I'm liable. Well, good thing you have your credit card on file, because boom, we just charged you. I mean, it's a good idea, and I guess they're just like they're not worried. They're not thinking about the worry of it. They don't want to worry about that. But that'll literally save them. That'll literally save them. Making turning GameStop into a GameStop, a local area
Yeah.
network. That's a LAN center. That's what it would be. And then you can host tournaments for all the competitive games, whether it's Dota, whether it's StarCraft, whether it's Call of Duty, whether it's Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, bro. You could just host them. How many people go to their GameStop and be like, bro, there's a tournament here? Boom. Too easy. I'm coming. And then what's the prize? $100 in GameStop store credit that you can only spend here. Or, we're going to give you like a little $20 GameStop trophy that only can get here. Bro, it'd be dope. And they
Yeah.
don't want to do it.
Just pivot to something new. I think they were talking about doing something like this, but it definitely wasn't to this extent.
Have you seen what Target's been doing?
Oh, absolutely.
Losing all that money. That's not
Bruh.
political. But I was like, why would you do that? Like, this
So
is this is a horrible time for anyone to jump on the bandwagon of anything that's like woke.
so this is the best part. This is the absolute best part of the fact that Bud Light just went through their collapse because conservatives or freedom people that aren't crazy have realized that they actually do have power, just like the crazy people. that boycott and try to shut companies down and get people fired for saying the wrong word. Like they realize, oh, we can actually be effective at this. So like Target just put it out because it's Pride Month starting today apparently. It's, gay month. So they were putting out their pride stuff. However, they put it front and center in the middle of the store and people freaked out.
They put it on children's clothes.
Yeah,
Like
that's the part that people freaked out about.
like if it was on regular like normal adult clothes, even I would say clothes for I mean, I guess if you like teenager, like, 15 and above, you can pretty much fit adult clothing.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it was like for geared towards the teenagers, which is like, I guess that's the big thing. Everyone was worried about them, going through their issues. Why are they on baby clothes?
Why indeed? Indoctrination.
It's
I
so
mean,
ridiculous. Like, I was like, you deserve to lose all that money.
right?
Like, you
Right?
deserve it. Like, this
Oh,
is not like
I'm so happy. This is great.
let them scare them. The rest of them, like, bro, if they, you want to do Pride Month, whatever. Like, I personally don't have an issue with Pride Month. It has nothing to do with me at all. However, it's just like, dude, just sell T-shirts to
Yes.
adults. The target audience is the adults. Like,
It's
if
the
you want to make ads,
sexualization of kids that is the problem. And it is the hard line that people have now run into.
the hard line. It's just like you're tired of it. And then it's the unwoke people of the gay community are also tired of it.
Oh,
And that's what's
absolutely.
really, really, really great. Because it shows that because a lot of people like to be like all of them, and it's not all of them. It's just the woke
Nope.
ones that are just dumb. And it is like same with the trans community. It's not all of them. It's just the woke ones that are dumb. The ones like why are you doing that? Like the line is leave the children alone. It's like we just
Leave
like
them
there
alone.
was a point. It's like they forgot that the entire country, the world almost united when we figured out that there was an entire island with children that were getting messed with by political figures and big name stars. I ain't forgot about it. So
Nope.
why would you do this? How could you? How could you think that this was the smartest thing to do? Like it
It's
just
the pushing of the envelope. Shoot, 2008. 2008. Barack Obama ran on anti-gay marriage. And now we're trans the kids really quickly. Like it's wild. 15 years. And now we're chopping off kids' bits, neutering them, putting them on hormone restrictors, which neuters them because things don't develop the way they should. It's crazy.
yeah, it is pretty it's pretty out there. I don't understand. It's like right after Bud Light, like you go into any Walmart, any grocery store that sells beer, Bud Light's not getting touched.
Nope.
Like the cans that they put out there, the rainbow ones, the Pride whatever that they put out are not there. It's the normal Bud Light cans, and
Well,
no one is buying them.
it was specifically a sponsorship of Dylan Mulvaney
Well, those
that
I
caused
like
the whole thing.
those cans aren't there, is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
They're not in the stores anymore. Like those cans are like I have there's an associate of my wife's. She that she sells beer. Like well, the company she works for sells beer.
Distributors.
Distributors. They're giving away those old cans of Bud Light away
Mm-hmm.
because no one wants them. No one wants them.
Bud Light has a rebate going on where
And
you
it's just like,
basically get all of their products for free. There's stores that are straight up just giving it away.
and
Like,
I just don't get it. Like how you watch that unfold. Was it like an ego thing? We're Target, we could do what we want, or was it like we've already had so many of these items made, we have no choice but to push it out to see if it'll work?
well,
Because that's just dumb either way. Like that just doesn't make sense.
I think they didn't think anyone would say anything or do anything. I genuinely think they didn't even blink an eye. They were just doing the thing that they do every year, and this year happens to be the toxic year.
I wonder who's next.
Oh, bruh. Especially since every single company over the next month in their American version of things is going to be changing their emblems, running Pride discounts, Pride this, Pride that, exclusively in America. Like, you wouldn't catch them dead for anyone that runs in a country where they're not pro Pride or pro gay or pro LGBTQAIPWXYZ explanation point.
The
Like
woke
in
people.
Saudi
I
Arabia,
just call them.
McDonald's still had the McDonald's logo up.
I'm just
In
gonna
Russia,
call them
still
the
had
woke
the
people.
McDonald's. Yeah,
Cause bro, no, bro, we have a very good friend who's gay,
yeah.
and he don't act like that.
Nah, I love
So
him.
yes,
He's
so
one
it's
of my
like,
top 4 friends in the world.
so it's not like it's all gay people and
Nah,
all trans people, bro. It's the loud ones, and the loudest ones in the room are the bitches, and that's the problem.
it
So
is.
I don't know. I don't want to touch too much on this subject because we can go deep, and then it starts
Bro, we can
sounding
go
hateful.
so deep.
It starts sounding hateful.
Let's get canceled day one.
Let's get canceled day one. Oh, the other political, bro. Did you see that? What is it? Russia? They're getting pushed way back, like way back into their own lines. Like they had a bomb. Like, bro, Russia accidentally dropped a bomb on their own city. How do you do that?
Did they?
Explain that crap. I don't
Did they?
understand. Yes, they did. Yes, they left like a crater in one of their cities. Like not a big it was like a 20-foot crater. It happened, I was like early this month or last month. One of these well, it's July now, June
It was just
now.
a few days ago.
So yeah, so I was like,
There
what is
was
going
there
on?
was a bombing in the Richie Rich area, and Russians blamed it on the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians blamed it on Russia, just like everything else. I mean, at this point, who knows which one did it? It's like when Ukraine bombed whatever country it was. What country was it? They bombed a different country by accident. And they were like, no, no, the Russians did it. The Russians did it. This is
It
Russian
wasn't Poland, was it?
disinformation that
Was it
what
Poland?
yeah, it was Poland. It was Poland, I believe it was. And
One
then
of
it
those.
came out like a week later and it was like, nope, it was the Ukrainians that did it. And I'm so done with us giving a crap about this conflict.
I pay attention to it because of the fact that they spend so much of the taxpayers' dollars to fund to help those people, and those people don't even care about the general population of the United States people.
Oh no, they don't care about us at all. The
Like
only reason why we're involved in this period is because the politicians that run this money hide their dirty money in Ukraine.
I stopped caring. Well, I didn't really care much for it, but I really stopped caring when the refugees in Ukraine got mad because they were living next to black and brown people. The refugees, like your entire country is under war right now. You're being sieged. And this is back when it was like, oh my God, is Ukraine gonna maybe survive this crap? You know what I'm saying? It was back
Mm-hmm.
during that time when everyone was curious to whether or not Russia was really gonna run rampant in Ukraine. and it was just like, the UK, England, it was like, yeah, you guys can come stay here. We don't mind making sure that you guys are safe, blah blah blah. And then they come, and then it was like they're mad because they're living next to brown people who are upstanding citizens. It's not like, they moved them into the ghetto to where, like, yeah, you're living next to some serious hardcore criminals. No, you're living next to regular people who are they do regular things that regular people do, like go to work, come home, make sure the kids is fed and, clothed and bathed and all that stuff. But they were like, we don't want to live next to these brown people. What? You rather go back to the rat infestation that you just came from that was getting blown up? It's and um I don't know. Then they said that our government miscalculated the amount that they were going to send them by 3 billion. What do you mean? What do you mean 3 billion, bro? We've said it a million times, bro. There's multiple cities in the United States of America with all the money they sent to that ugly country that they could have rebuilt and brought it.
Absolute
Detroit,
trash country.
like we've talked millions of times, that if we ever just had $50,000, we'll buy like 2 streets in Detroit, because everything in Detroit is worth $1, and it's
Yep,
just
basically.
it's worth $1, but they can afford to send billions, billions.
170 billion at the last time I checked. 170 billion dollars.
What was that wall
Why?
gonna cost?
Why?
What was that wall
Why?
gonna cost?
Why haven't we stormed? Never. You know what? Let me shut up before we get in real trouble.
Nah, yeah.
I don't
What was that
understand why
wall
we
gonna
don't
cost?
have guillotines in the streets yet. Like, what is this? What is this? Like, how
Uh,
are we just letting them do this? It's crazy. $170 billion we are sending to a country who's not even worth a tenth of it. Like, okay, GDP. Let's check it. Okay, so we've basically almost bought their whole country. They're
and
worth
that,
$200 billion. two
maybe
hundred
that's the
billion
plan.
dollars. Are
Maybe
we
that's
just
the plan.
buying
I
them?
better be. I better be able to go over there without a passport after this is all done. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? I better be able, like, I'm going to Ukraine. It's like, all right, cool. You
You're
don't need a
ours
pass.
now.
Like, you should be like, it's heavy. You should encourage. You should get a passport just in case. You never know with everything over there in those countries, because like you could take 2 steps down a block and the next thing you know you're in a whole different country. But it's just like takes 10 hours to cross that whole thing, but it takes 17 to get to freaking Texas from where I'm at. That's crazy.
Right?
And you could
Right?
take a whole train across that country like it's nothing, but it takes
Nothing.
17 hours just to get to the border of Texas from where I'm at. That's ridiculous. That's amazing. I just don't support it. Like
No,
the innocent
not at
people,
all.
I feel bad for them. But I just don't see no return of investment to the regular people. Like, yeah, the politicians and everything, they're getting their return of investment. But
I mean, it always sucks when your country goes to war. However, your country went to war. At this point, it's us fighting the Russians.
it's a proxy. Like they
Yeah,
say, it's
it's
a
just a
proxy war.
proxy.
It's us.
Yes, 100%.
We on paper, United States can't on paper go to war with Russia. Otherwise, it's allies like China and all the other people. I was about to get out of pocket. All the other people who side with them. That's what will happen if the United States be like, all right, Russia, we're coming to stop you from doing what you're doing. However, they're not doing anything if if those people did it.
Hmm.
Because if we did it, it would have been done already. However, we can't do that, which is why
We
all the
just have
Ukrainian.
troops on the ground, sending them arms, money,
That's basically
everything.
what it is. We're training them to use our weapons, the crap gear. Hey, here, take this. This is how you use it. It's simple. You got it. And then Here, take this, take this, use this firearm. It's simple. You got it. We don't use it no more. We used to really good, like, before we pulled out of that country, in the dumb way that
Mm-hmm.
we did. But we don't use it. You got it, and you'll pay us back later. So and it will train you. They're giving them F-16s. They are winning at that point. They're getting trained to fly F-16s. There is no other plane outside of jet. Excuse me. There is no other jet outside of the F-22 that is stopping the F-16. There's none. And guess who are the only people on this planet that have them? Ukraine and us. And they're so indebted to us at this point, we ain't got to worry about them. And there's nothing stopping the F-22. There's just nothing.
No, I mean, we don't make them anymore. But yeah, it's the
We
ultimate
don't need
fighting
to.
weapon. It's a travesty that we don't still pump them out.
Don't need
Granted,
to at this
they're
point.
expensive. But do you know how many we could have bought with that 170 billion? At least like
Two.
6. We could have
Maybe.
bought 6 more. And you know what? 6 more? That's fine because you can conquer a country with 6 F-22s.
Probably 100%
Shoot, my
can.
buddy
Like,
makes them.
what are you doing against it? Yeah, we're gonna shoot it down. How? That freaking what the Patriot? What is it called? The Patriot system? Oh my God! Like
Yeah.
that thing, they have that now. It's like, at what point do you think? What do the United States have that they're just leisurely giving these things to them? Like, every other country has to be afraid because it's like the Patriot system is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Israel has the Iron Dome, which can practically stop anything. What does America have?
Nobody knows the Hydra from that one movie.
Exactly.
From that one movie, Olympus has fallen. Freaking, I don't know. No one knows, and that's what's
We don't
beautiful
know. They
about it.
actually got Iron Man suits, and every time when a nuke gets launched, the Iron Man just goes and takes care of it.
Right? Just teleports.
We don't know, but nukes actually get launched all the time.
all the time. They don't hit nothing, so nobody says nothing.
But the
I'm
whole
telling you.
thing, like, first off, none of this would have ever happened if our current president wouldn't have gotten elected. Secondly, why? I still don't get it. Why do we care?
He's been
Why do
endorsed
we
by
care?
Germany for a re-election.
What?
He's been endorsed. Like, Germany is going to fund him to be re-elected.
Oh, Biden?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then
Why wouldn't
think,
you
who
fund
said
the
it
guy
was
that bends over and asks you?
like somebody it was like the way they worded it, it was like another country was funding Trump, and the way they worded it, it was like that they said, "Oh, Germany is endorsing Joe Biden," which is like, okay, cool. But then when it came to this country that's endorsing Trump, they just list out a bunch of who this country is known for doing
Yeah.
X, Y, Z, and they're endorsing him like not that long ago, like really not that long ago, the country that's endorsing
Right?
our
Right? It's
current
almost
president,
like they were the country that
like not that long
endorsing
ago,
Joe
buddy.
Biden not that long ago was very much in line with the party that Joe Biden represents. Like, really
Not
not
that
that
long
long ago.
ago, like
Like,
really not that long ago. It's like
sub 100 years ago.
it was a problem. Like that country was a big deal,
I
like a
mean, shoot,
big deal.
60 years ago.
Oh my God, it's
That other party that we're not going to bring up that existed in this particular country was very much in line with the goals. It's wild. It's wild. But they're never mentioned that.
right. Like they're just hush about it. Like, oh man, it just don't make no sense to me. Like, I really don't. I'm not voting for that dude. I don't care. Like, Trump has my vote 100%. I don't care what people get mad. I don't care. Yeah, I'm brown and I said it. So what? Get mad at me.
Bruh,
So
it's crazy. Okay, so right now, the on the Republican side of things, and one's either Trump or DeSantis for the most part. There's a couple of other people, but those are the two front runners that everyone's deciding between. And the people that are in favor of Ron DeSantis pretty much only are like their only point is, well, Trump is too toxic. He's too toxic. Oh, you think they're not calling Ron DeSantis a Nazi? Not saying all the same things they said about Trump about Ron DeSantis? 100 second he gets the nomination. Oh, here's 37 reasons why Ron DeSantis is worse than Trump. He's a remnant of the Trumpian era. Blah, 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 blah. To quote Eminem.
Hibbity blue blah. Oh man, not to stay on this topic too long because we could go deep in this. You know, this is a
Bruh,
rabbit
I
hole
mean,
we
this
like to
could be
climb
3 hours on its own.
But it's just, I don't make no sense, man. It's just
It's dumb.
people are worried about the wrong thing. People are worried, like there's just it's the smoke and mirrors has got so many people up in the bind, and it's just like if you pay attention to what really mattered, like why are eggs so expensive? Why does it cost so much to get
Bruh.
milk?
Why
you
the
worried
same
about
groceries
Orange
that I
Man.
bought 3 years ago for $69 roughly now cost me $170?
Like it's because of Orange Man. It's like I don't know, man. The eggs didn't cost this much.
Everything was real good and cheap under Orange Man.
It's like Orange Man had me, bro. I'm telling you, it's like the way I eat eggs is too expensive. For them to
Bruh,
be
who you telling? We go through
like
60 eggs a week.
dude. Yes, between me and my dog, it's ridiculous. I eat like 5 eggs a morning alone myself. You know, and my dog may eat like he eats 4 eggs, maybe 5 a day, and it's just like, dude, that's 9 eggs between the two of us, just the two of us, not counting the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I have a whole other family that also may want to eat eggs. But it's it's too expensive. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like the milk on top of that. It's like, I got kids, they want to eat cereal. I don't drink milk anymore. But it's just like my kids do. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Like my kid's the only one in the house really that drinks milk anymore as well. Just because it's so expensive. Like I love milk. Grew up on the good old white milk back in the day. And that's been my drink of choice my whole life until
I
it
don't
got too expensive to drink.
I tried branching to other ones. It's just the lactose with me. Like I love like the actual taste of like a good cold glass of milk.
Oh, nothing
Is
better.
and I'm one of those weirdos that'll put ice in it just to keep it cold because it don't bother me.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's just
You and
I
your
can't.
water milk.
Water milk. It don't last that long. It just keeps it cold enough. The ice still be there when I'm done with it. I don't let it linger. I like milk to me has to be almost brain freeze temperature. Like it's gotta be cold. It's
Oh, I
gotta
hear you.
be real. I just don't like. I tried the substitutes, the almond,
Oh, they're
dill.
garbage, bro. All of
They
them.
just
This is
like
just
I
disgusting.
don't like them because they pour sugar in them and it just tastes so
Yeah.
sweet. I don't want my fucking like
It's
why?
it's
Why?
sugar
Why is it
water
like that?
with some white food coloring. Like, what is this?
Like this is horrible. Like, why is it sweet? Oh, you could just get the unsweetened and then it really tastes bad. It's
Right?
like
My
no.
wife, when we started doing keto, she was looking into milk alternatives, and then she just came home one day and was like, "Why are all the milk alternatives nothing but sugar?" And I'm like, "Congratulations, darling. To get a tenth of the way towards that thing that God naturally gave us to drink, people have to just pour a shitload of sugar into things."
I'm of the mindset that human beings aren't supposed to drink cow milk. That's where my headspace is. But if you want to, I am not a
Maybe,
head.
but
Like
it's delicious.
it is very good. I mean,
And what are you going to
so
put on your cereal? What are you going to put on your cereal?
um, my cereal, I would 100% is a human behind you. I would
There
want
is a human behind
100%.
me.
King God, we're not live.
Right?
I don't even remember what I was gonna say.
I have a book I need you, well, a book series I want you to read.
Send it to me. I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I'm actually
you can
typing
have
right now.
my Audible login.
I have Audible.
Yeah, but it's like
I get a free
6
book.
books cuz
It's 6 books. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna read them all at
like
one
it's
sitting.
current. Oh, you're right. You're right. And honestly,
So
you're not going to
I'll
read
use
them in
my free
20
credit.
sittings.
Yeah, I'll read. When I get my free credit, I'm gonna add it to my wish list. What's the name of the? Message me
The
the name.
Way of Kings is the first one.
The way. Uh,
It's called the
Here it is.
Stormlight Archive is the series name. And
Okay,
it
I'm gonna
might
add it.
be the best book series I've ever read, which is a
Dude, this
tough place
25
to take.
hour audiobook. Jesus.
Yes, bruh. And that's the shortest one.
Is it
Yes. The
Brandon
next one
Sanders?
is 59 hours. The one I'm currently on is 60 something hours.
That's ridiculous.
Yes. And bruh, they are that good.
I normally don't go into books like that. I normally read self, like,
Look,
self help.
I only started the series because Caleb told me that I had to read it.
Maybe we should get his.
And bruh, it's so good.
Let me get like let me finish it one day. I'll do I'll do some hard drugs and just listen to it for like 2 days straight and get back to y'all. Oh man. I mean, yeah, I'll definitely get into that. I have a few
Word.
books. I just got a book from Marcus Aurelius that I really want to listen to. It's only 5 hours, so it won't take me long.
Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
I didn't write a book.
Word. Yeah, but it's I really want to get into that. I'm thinking about getting my kids Audible because my kids are named after great human beings, except for one of them. One of them is not real, but
True.
both of them aren't real actually. Because my oldest, even though he's named after his grandfather, I there's an Argonaut, Jason of the Argonauts. It's a great movie, great book. I really want to get him that book because he will read it and he will probably enjoy it. I think it'd be good for his mentality. They do have a kid version of the story, which is awesome.
My kid's currently reading Artemis Fowl because I gave her the option of Artemis Fowl or The Lord of the Rings. Well, The Hobbit. Starting with The Hobbit.
Take the Lord of the Rings?
Well, she chose Artemis Fowl over The Hobbit, and I asked for a DNA test.
Yeah, I'm saying I would have been upset. Like, I would have given him a choice. We got Jason reading law books. I told you about this yesterday,
Yeah.
but yeah, we have him reading law books, basic law about the Bill of Rights and stuff. Because I am afraid that when he gets to that point in school, they're just not going to show him how important like that needs to be touched on. Everyone needs to know the Constitution and your rights as a human being in the United States of America, and I don't think it's very much heavily touched on. But
Not
he's gonna read
enough.
about it.
I mean,
He's gonna read it. He's gonna
so many people. There was a guy I was talking to a few months ago now. It was a while back. But he had just gotten out of jail. And he messed up. So there was this dude that he accidentally cut off. And then he thought the dude was following him. And so like they drove 15 minutes and this dude was taking every turn that he was taking. And he finally pulled into the restaurant parking lot where he was going. And the dude parked right beside him. And he hopped out his car and pulled his gun on him. Homie was just happened to be going to the same restaurant. Messed up the dude's life, bro. He spent a week in jail. Going to be on trial. Well, probably already had his trial at this point because in Texas they do things fast. And it's, bruh. And I was talking to the guy and I'm like, man, this is why you got to know your laws. Don't carry if you're not reading the law and you don't know what you're doing. Because one stupid mistake
Cost you your whole life, man.
Cost you your whole life. It's wild. I mean, I hope the dude, got off. Maybe he got a really good lawyer. Probably not. Dude was pretty poor. Not poor, but not, good lawyer money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Also,
if at this point, if you're high middle class or lower, you're poor.
yep.
You're
Because
poor.
we're right now. We broke lower middle class. We broke it this past year. Yeah, we poor.
Bro, I'm saying is like, man,
Basically, like the wife gets mad when I say we're poor, but we're not actually poor.
my mom gets mad when I say we're poor. She's like, don't say that. Say you're temporarily out of cash. I mean,
Right?
that sounds poor to me.
Woman,
That's
that means I'm poor.
that's exactly what
I've
that
been
sounds like.
temporarily out of cash for years now. At a certain point. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.